What's going on, guys? It is Kyle again with DTOM Knives and Gear, and today I have a first impressions slash unboxing. I kind of unboxed it, so you sue me because I was excited. Anyway, stay tuned. We're going to go over this thing. All right, welcome back, everybody. Okay, first things first. Jake, cover your eyes, man. Cover your eyes. All right, as you can see from the description and from the box in front of you, I am going to show you a Chris Reeve knife. I was on the fence about Chris Reeve knives because I had heard certain things and blah, 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 blah. I've always heard great things about him, actually, but then Jake over at Bearded Gear made a couple of good points. He had a Sabenza 21 that he tried out for a week, and he had some great points on why he wasn't so crazy about Chris Reeve knives. I am on I guess an evolution of my knife collecting and knife using to where I am wanting to try the Holy Trinity, which is Chris Reeve's knives, Hinderer knives, and then Rick Strider, or Mick Strider, excuse me, which I have the Strider and ProTech collaboration, and found out, well, you guys will get a full review on this, but I found out the ergos on this thing work for me superbly, so I will be getting a Strider knife in the future. But I had to get a Chris Reeve knife in my hand. I fiddled with them before at a couple of knife shops and whatnot, and you know, you really can't get a good representation of the knife by doing that. So I did purchase one. Now, this is not the Sabenza. When I was looking for one, I decided on the large Inkosi, and that's what this is. So there's a couple of reasons why, but for this video, we're going to open it up, look at it. I have taken it out, but we're going to open up, look at it. I'm going to give you my first impressions. Well, first of all, the box it comes in is pretty cool. Good packaging, as you can see there, large Inkosi. This is the plain model. And so let's go ahead and get this out. Got some paperwork. All of them come with this cool card. Gives you the birth date of it. So this one is almost exactly a year old. Gives you a nice diagram of everything. Some information, care notes, registration card, and a really cool sticker. So really cool. And then this is kind of the showpiece of all the awards that Chris Reeve has won, and for good reason. So also comes in the box tools to take the knife apart, some Loctite and some fluorinated grease, which Chris Reeve recommends to use on his knives. I think it's super cool that he includes this. Not a lot of manufacturers do include tools to just take their knives apart and encourage you to do so. So, you know, that's a plus in my book. I really appreciate that. All right, let's get this thing unraveled. Boom. Comes with this really cool, like if anybody who's ever bought a Chris Reeve knife knows about the little cloth that you get, which is super cool. And here it is, the Chris Reeve's large Inkosi. All right, so just like everybody talks about, this thing is super smooth. There's a reason that I bought the Inkosi, not the Sabenza 21 or the 31 for that matter. And I will kind of go over that. I'm still not very, I guess, versed in Chris Reeve's knives. I did want to get one in hand, but from what I was watching on YouTube and stuff, this one has a different pivot system. It doesn't have the pivot bushing like the Sabenza 21 does. It has a very oversized pivot, oversized stop pin. The washer system is different, which I thought was a good different. And this one is supposedly more, this pivot system rather is a little bit more forgiving, for you can tune them the way you want. As you can see, whenever I first kind of flick this out, you can flick it out with a little bit of wrist. I mean, it's smooth, but it doesn't have the little fidgety factor that a lot of course, Chris Reeve knives have. This one, apparently you can tweak and get that the way you want it. It's always going to, it might be a little finicky to be able to get it, but I mean, first out of the box, oh my gosh, this thing is rock solid. And then you also might notice that it has the Tanto Blade. I was going back and forth on which blade style I wanted, and be honest with you, I don't really have a lot of Tantos. I have a Cold Steel large Voyager XL Tanto that I don't really use that often. I carry it every now and again, but it is a big knife. And the grind, see if you can see this here on the Tanto Blade for the Chris Reeves, is very interesting. And so I did decide to go ahead and purchase the Tanto Blade because I want to test it out and see what if I can use this and what kind of I guess uses I can get out of the Tanto Blade that I might not be able to get out of other blades, or other blade shapes rather. I don't have to have a whole lot of belly. I'm not skinning anything. Most of the EDC tasks that I do perform are all packages, cardboard, some zip ties, stuff like that. But I do a lot of times use my knife in this fashion to kind of get detailed cuts on certain things that I maybe some labels or something at work where I've got a detail cut them out. I think this will be good for that. So anyway, we'll find out. The other difference between the Inkosi and the large Sebenza 21 is how the lockup is. This one has a ceramic detent ball, which also acts as the blade stop. So if you look at this thing, you kind of look and say, wow, that's a late lockup. But that's not really where it's locking up at. See if I can show you here if it'll actually show. You can kind of see there where the detent ball looks like it's got some new lube. But anyway, you can kind of see there where the detent ball, come on, meets the lock face there. And so it actually is locking up exactly where it needs to be, which I think is super cool. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen that design before except for on a Chris Reeve knife. So I am pretty excited to kind of test that out and see, what it's all about. The other thing that I do like about this and about all Chris Reeve knives is I dig a rounded spine. That crown spine, to me, is just classy and sleek. The only other knife that I have that has that is the Giant Mouse Ace Sonoma, which is another titanium frame lock. So whenever I do the full review of this guy, I'm going to compare it to a bunch of the other stuff because a lot of people don't have Chris Reeve knives for one reason, and that is the price. They are pricey. Now, this is 100% made in the USA. You can see right there that it is made, turn it around where you can see it, made in Idaho. Chris Reeve is, of course, he's a South African immigrant to this country and have been making knives for decades. So, like on the card, they've made a lot of quality, really quality made knives, and you just can't deny that. A lot of people are not attracted to these knives because of one thing, the price and the steel. This is an S35 VN steel, which S35 is a good steel. But it's not the high, it's not the highest premium steel that you can get. You guys know, if you watch my videos, that I'm a huge fan of CPM 20 CV. That's my favorite blade steel. And you can get titanium frame locks in CPM 20 CV for a lot cheaper than this. So I get it. I totally get it. A lot of people are turned off by that. Chris Reeve had a hand in developing the S35 VN, and he's been dealing with it for such a long time that I had to give it a shot. I have other knives in S35 VN, and they work out fine. I just prefer other steels. But the reason that I got this is because it's an icon company and an icon knife. I mean, especially the Sebenza 21. I chose the large Inkosi for just little particular reasons. It does come with a lanyard, and I'm probably going to leave the lanyard. I'm not a huge lanyard guy. I got a lanyard on a couple of my knives, but I'm probably going to leave the lanyard on there for a little bit just to kind of see how I like it. I may not. But as far as first impressions on comfort, It really does for my hands. Now, I know for a fact that the small Inkosi would not fit my hands and not be comfortable for me. But the large one does. As you can see, I've got plenty 4-finger grip there. A lot of people, it's going to be kind of hit and miss as far as these finger grips, guys, because it really depends on your hand size. But for me, it locks me in pretty good. There is no hot spots when I squeeze on, so that means that the finger grooves in there are set well for my hand shape and my hand size. And then of course the jimping up here, if you can see that, come on, the jimping up here is kind of you see how it's kind of a staggered, long, short, short, long, short, short, or deep rather. Not sharp at all. Rounded off. I think this is a pretty good representation of the jimping. I really like it. This one ramps up a little bit more than the Sebenza 21, and this one does have dual thumb studs. It comes standard with that. You can get the Sebenza 21 in dual thumb studs, but it's mainly you can get them in right or left-handed. This one, of course, is a right-handed tip-up only. So another thing that I noticed from the Sebenza 21 to the Inkosi has this pocket clip angled a little bit, which I really wanted. I heard some issues with the pocket clip being straight, not only for putting more tension on the lock bar than is necessary, but also creating a little bit of a hot spot on the 25, which is basically the same knife, just a few little tweaks that it was straight and it came off right here. So I definitely don't feel the pocket clip when it's angled like that. I'm not sure if I would whenever it was straight. It's just something that I heard, and so it's very, very comfortable in hand. In any grip that I put it in as of right now. There is no finger choil like there is on the XM18 or on the Strider S&G. So, and I've really found out that this, I'm telling you, we'll do a comparison on a bunch of these things, but this Strider S&G really molds to my hand, and I absolutely love this configuration as far as ergonomics. But the Hinderer, kind of the same way. I really feel locked in and comfortable, especially with that finger control. This one does not have that, but I still feel very, very comfortable in hand with this knife. These knives are made for work. That's just all there is to it. They are renowned for being a great EDC knife. Some people hate them. Some people love them. I don't think there's really a little of in between. Well, yeah, there is. There's a little bit of in between because I was in between. So getting it in hand, I'm really excited about it. I'm going to definitely test this thing out, do some cutting, try to test out that S35 VN the way Chris Reeve does it. So I'm very interested. This one does have a hollow grind, but it is what they call large hollow grind, or I think it's what they call it. Anyway, it's not as deep as you would see on a bunch of other hollow grinds. And he does that for a purpose, and that purpose being that it can take a lot of sharpenings and not get thicker behind the edge, which I think is genius. I didn't even think about that until I was reading up on the knife, and so a lot of thinking did go into this knife. I don't know if I mentioned, but you can see kind of there those huge phosphor bronze washers. We will probably do a disassembly to kind of show you the ins and outs, but you can see on a bunch of other channels the intricacies of this part, this knife, how simple it is, but just how well made. Chris Reeve makes all their parts. All of these things have such tight tolerances, just like all the other big manufacturers, especially of American-made products, such as Rick Hinderer and Mick Strider. And I am going to get a Strider knife. If you know anybody out there selling a Strider SMF production model, let me know, because I got to get all three of these in hand and compare them to see which ones I like better. They're all great, from what I understand. I've had a little bit of experience now with my Hinderer, which I absolutely love. And of course, just a few days of holding this thing, it's an ergonomic win for me, 100%. So now I've got the Chris Reeve in my hand, and I'm so excited to try it out. Jake, man, I know, I know you are. We're not huge fans, so don't give me such a hard time. I'm definitely going to give this thing a shot because I do like the way it looks. It does have premium materials. It just doesn't have the steel that I would choose. but I want to give it a shot. I want to give the S35VN a shot that is made and done by Chris Reeve for a particular purpose. And so I'm very excited to do so. I really appreciate you guys stopping by and checking this out with me. Stay tuned for more because I've got a lot more coming. I also am doing a giveaway, you know, hopefully in the next week or two. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be notified of that and win some cool gear. Jake, I'm going to talk to you later, buddy. I'm sure you'll have a lot to say about this. But I love you, man. I know you love me. So I'm just going to try this out. And I look forward to talking to you about your experiences and about my experiences with this knife. I'm already kind of telling that I might not like this lanyard, but anyways, guys, I appreciate it. Be safe out there in this crazy world that we live in, and we will see you in the next one.